So today we are here with Joy Baum, who is the head of school at the Colombus Pre-School and Gym, where our son Adam goes. And she was kind enough to come out today and talk a little bit about her educational experience and what she brings to the table at Colombus Preschool and what's special about Colombus Preschool and their philosophy. So, Joy, how are you today?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for being here. So can you tell me a little bit about one thing that I'm so interested in about Colombus Preschool is the concept of an emergent curriculum. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and how that maybe differs from some of the other preschool philosophies that are out there?
Emergent curriculum is very progressive in nature. It assumes that the child knows best, so to speak, and that the teacher, as a facilitator, takes their cues from the child. So it's very child-centered by definition. And when I mean child-centered, I mean that what children gravitate to and what they have passion for is where the teacher picks up the interest and rolls with it. And of course, those interests we know change from year to year. Through a child's development. And sometimes those passions may continue from one year to the next. So a teacher at any given moment would have to be ready to actually create curriculum around those interests and passions of a particular group of children.
Right. Yeah, that's an amazing idea to me. And I know that you mentioned the song a little earlier, and the reason that I thought this would be a great thing to talk about with the song is because the emergent curriculum really honors the individuality of the kids and of the group of children, but also balances that with the idea of team and their peer group. So that's what I thought was so interesting about that. Well, what are some of the other philosophies that are out there?
Well, there are philosophies, and I don't want to mention too many by name, but there are other philosophies that do just the opposite. In other words,
more traditional.
They're much more traditional. The teacher is actually given a curriculum, and that curriculum is followed basically from one year to the next. There are very specific thematic units, and there are very specific units of study that they will follow. So it's quite different. It kind of works from the outside in as opposed to from the inside out in a sense.
Right. Well, for our child, we felt that was more of an organic approach. And we also like the big gym that you guys have at the school because our kid likes to run around. Yeah. Then again, what kid doesn't like to run around?
What kid doesn't like to run around?
So can I ask you, how do you think a good preschool education sets a child up for the later years, both kindergarten, grade school, and beyond?
Well, I come to education from a background in counseling and child development. So it's very, very critical that a young child begins with a very, very strong sense of self and continues to be appreciated for exactly who they are as an individual and as, of course, a contributing member to whatever the group is that they are in at any given moment. Could be a family unit, and it could be a classroom. So that particular piece of I am somebody special is the place that we live, and what I consider and deem to be the most important and primary piece of a really good, solid, early foundation. Once you have that, and you have a very, very strong sense of empowerment, and that I'm someone special, and that I know things, and that I can contribute, and you have the skills to go along with that, you're set. You're pretty much set for life.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
What's in a day in your life at the preschool, what is the biggest challenge that comes up for you on a regular basis?
I would say that it varies, and it varies usually by the time of year. So in the early September days, what's very, very difficult sometimes is when children come into school for the very first time.
Right.
And they're very young, and they are separating for the first time from their families.
Right.
And sometimes it's just as difficult for the parents who are separating from their children.
Right.
So that can present sometimes a little bit of parents with angst, may I?
Right.
Okay. And we very, very gingerly begin to have parents understand that they are just moving on to their next activity, just as the children are moving on to their next activity.
Right.
And then when they reunite and come back together, they have some wonderful stories to tell each other.
Right.
So that kind of helps to set the stage for the rest of the year and makes everything a lot smoother.
Right. So would you say that separation then is one of the biggest challenges?
I think so. I think so. At that time of year, it usually is, especially for the very young children. The other piece of it is sometimes getting the right fit in terms of a professional to work with any given class and group of children. And once you have the right recipe and the dynamics, it's a magical thing. It's a really magical thing.
Right.
So it's about the match and making sure that you bring in people who have a certain kind of vision and philosophy of education that's akin to yours, people who really love children,
right,
and who understand and have a background in child development to go with it.
Right. So you're very selective with the instructors that you choose, and right.
I am.
Is there a minimum degree requirement, or is it more about the feeling that you get from...
To be a lead teacher, you have to have a minimum of a bachelor's in education with a certain level of certification.
Right.
And if you go further, that's of course great, and I try to cultivate that.
Right. I know that one of the teachers that we were working with last year, for instance, was getting her master's in speech. Oh. So that she could have better interactions with the kids and facilitate speech interactions.
Right. And we have some of those professionals now that are doing it. Yeah.
Right. That sounds amazing. Well, I think I'd like to know a little bit more about how people can learn about Colombus Preschool.
Sure. There's a lot of advertising that Colombus Preschool does. I don't know exactly where they're doing it.
Right.
But if you ever see Colombus Preschool and it has a little dash in the center, you know it's ours.
All right. So you guys have a website, right?
We have a website, right? It's Colombus Preschool with a little dash in the center. Right. Otherwise, you're going to get preschools all over the country. We're located on 89th Street and Columbus Avenue, and we encourage people to come and visit our school, to tour, to just come by and see what we do, and to bring back that good information to the rest of the city, if not the country.
And one of the other things that I almost forgot, there is a great gym component to the school.
That's right.
And our son participates in the gym class, and he loves it a lot. Kids like to move around.
That's right.
You guys have an indoor gym as well as a nice outdoor space. The sprinklers are on in the summertime, so summer camp was definitely fun for the kids.
Yes.
So you have the gym. Are there any other courses that you guys offer at the school outside of the traditional preschool model?
There is music. And there is dance, and the arts are very, very much infused with and integrated into the program.
Right. Sounds great. Well, we're fans.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Joy, so much for being here today and talking about what you do.
Okay. Thank you.